Hello guys, Assalamualaikum and very good day to you again. So we are still in the second part of our video, which is the steps of SDLC, System Development Life Cycle. In the previous video, we talked about the phase 1, planning phase. Then we have second phase, phase 2, the analysis phase. Now after we have this suggestion, based on the report submitted by the system analyst from the analysis phase, we move on to the phase 3, which is the design phase. Now, in this phase, in this phase, design phase consists of two major activities. The first major activities is acquiring hardware and software, and then detailed design. So what are acquiring hardware and software? Acquiring hardware and software activity may be skipped if the proof solution does not require new hardware or software. Why? Because in these activities, the purpose is to obtain additional hardware or software or evaluate cloud providers that offer the hardware or software to meet the organization needs. In other words, if your system, the new system that you want to develop, need a new additional hardware or software which you don't have yet, then you have to go through these activities. And there are 4 steps to follow. The first step is to identify technical specification, and then soliciting vendor proposal, testing and evaluating vendor proposal, and you making the decision. Second activities is detailed design. Detailed design also called as physical design, because in this step you require specific hardware and software to develop the design for your database, the inputs, outputs, and the program. Let's go through with the first activities, acquiring hardware and software. Acquiring hardware and software. The first step is to identify technical specs. Identify all the hardware and software requirements. The system analyst will identify all the hardware and software which are necessary, which are required in order for you to complete or to design to develop the system. How? System analysts will talk to other system analysts, visit a vendor stores, and search on the web. The system analyst will talk to other system analysts for any suggestion, or visit the vendor stores for look for any ideas, and also can go through the website. Then the system analyst will summarize all the requirements for the potential vendors. So the system analyst will list down every detail of the technical specification, means that every spec of the hardware and software that is necessary to develop the system. Soliciting vendor proposal. In this step, the system analyst already have the list of specification. So the system analyst will send all the requirements or the list of technical specification to the potential vendors. Testing and evaluating vendor proposal. In this step, system analysts will receive complete quotation and proposal from the vendor. So the system analyst will evaluate all the vendor proposal and select the best one. Means if the vendor proposal, in this step, the system analyst may receive more than one proposal or suggestion from the vendor. So it's the job of the system analyst and the team to evaluate every vendor proposal and select the best one with the best price. The system analyst will also test the hardware and software from the vendors before making the decision in the next step, making decision. The system analyst presents the recommendation to the steering committee. The recommendation could be to award a contract to a vendor or to not make any purchase at this time. What is detailed design activities? Detailed design activities, of course, we call it as a physical design because we require specific hardware and software, but we don't require a new, we don't obtain a new additional hardware and software. So in this detailed design, we develop the design for the database, the inputs, the database, the inputs, outputs, and the programs. Design database. Design database means that the development team designed the database upon the data dictionary that developed during the analysis phase. So remember, we still remember in the analysis phase, we talk about data dictionary, and data dictionary is related to what we call as database design. Then, the development team or the system analyst will come up with the design of input and output interface. In this design, there are two types of design that will be created. The first design is what we call as a mock-up design and also the layout design. The design of input and output interface will come up with every menu, screen, and report specified in the requirement. Now this is the example of mock-up input and output design and layout chart of input and output design. As you can see in the mock-up design, we present the design with the real input and output. Whereas in the layout design, we focus on the arrangement of each element in the interface, such as the fields and the position of the input, interface, and the graphic, the header, and also the footer, the detailed content of the interface for user. Detailed design, there are three major activities. Use prototype and use case tools. What is prototype? Prototype, also known as proof of concept, which is a working model of the proposed system essential functionality. So this is not a completed system yet, but it is a system that works with the requirement proposed in the system. The advantage of prototype is user can work with the system before it is completed. So user can test whether the output is meet the user requirement. If the user approves the prototype, then the step is to implement the system as quickly as possible. Use case tool. Case tool is software that can assist during system development. The last activity in detailed design is what we call as quality review techniques. Quality review techniques is a process with which the people review the detailed design specification before they are given to programming team. So in this part, every steps or every design, such as the design of your database, the design of the input and output, will be go through the quality review techniques. So the reviewer should include user, the system analyst, managers, IT staff, and members of the system development team, but they are not consist of the programming team. In other words, the reviewer are among the developer. Phase 4, implementation. The implementation is the phase to construct or build the new or modified system and then deliver it to user. There are 4 major activities consist in implementation phase. First, develop the programs. So you develop the program based on the design phase. Then install and test the new system. Convert to the new system and train user. In the phase 4 implementation, the first step is to develop program. In developing program, most important part is the programmer will write or modify the program from the program specification. It involves the programmer to analyze the requirements again, design the solution based on the phase 3, the design phase. Validate the design that are given from phase 3, implement the design, test the solution, and document the solution. Implementation activity 2, install and test new program. So if the system involves a new hardware or software, it must be installed and tested before it completely given to the final user. The system analyst should test the individual program. It is important to make sure all the programs work together in the system. Therefore, there are 4 types of tests in this tab. The first test is unit test, and then we have system test, integration test, and acceptance test. What are the difference between all these 4 tests? Unit test is the test to verify that each individual program or object works by itself. For example, if the system involves 3 different parts, for example, the first part is to enter the profile, the student profile. The second part is for examination. The third part is to verify the marks of the student. Now, 3 different parts of the system will be going through individual tests. Means you have to evaluate each part individually. Is the system to read and store the profile of the student work as individual part? Is the examination system work as individually? And is the verification of the mark system work as individually? So we go through every part and test it individually to make sure all this part is working. System test. System test is to verify that all programs in an application work together properly. Means that Once you know that every part of the system can work as individual, you have to test whether all the three-part study, the three parts can work as the whole system. So you have to make sure that the data or the profile that had been stored in the profile system can be used and updated in the examination system. And the marks that had been verified in the verification mark system can be also used in the examination system. Integration test. Integration test is the test to verify that an application works with other applications. For example, if your system needs to print out the result of the student, can your system work with the printing system which is not available, which is not part of the new system that you have developed? Acceptance test. Acceptance test is the test to check the new system to ensure that it works with actual data. In this test, you have to make sure that you use the actual data to evaluate whether the system can come up with the actual output that you needed. Activity 3, train user. After the system had been tested, so now it's the activity to train the user. How to use the new system or how to use the new hardware that had been developed. Train user is the process of showing user exactly how they will use the new hardware and software in the system. Training include hands-on session. User should practice on the actual system during training. The system analyst should prepare user manual for reference when a training. There are three methods of training: one-on-one session, classroom-style lectures, and web-based training. Activity 4. Conversion. Conversion is actually the last activity in implementation phase. Once the system has developed, installed, and tested, you have trained the user. That is time for you to convert. It's time for user to convert to the new system. There are 4 types of conversion strategy can be used to change from the old system to the new system. The 4 conversion strategies are direct conversion, parallel conversion, phase conversion, and pilot conversion as shown in this slide. What does it mean by old system and new system? Old system and the new system. The new system is when you want to create or you want to use the new system that had been developed. Direct conversion. In this strategy, user will stop using the old system and begins using the new system on a certain date. For example, the transition from using the Microsoft Word to the Open Office document, to the Open Office document. Now, the management might ask you to stop using the Microsoft Word because of the license is not updated, and convert to the new document application, which is Open Office document. So the management might tell you that in March, all the staff must use the Open Office document to replace the Microsoft Word. So in this strategy, all the staff in KML must stop using Microsoft Word immediately on March, as stated or as ordered by the management. So the old system, which is Microsoft Word, will be replaced with the new system, Open Office document, based on the certain date stated. Parallel conversion is the strategy of conversion which consists of running the old system alongside with the new system for a specified time. In this strategy, you are asked to use the Microsoft Word. At the same time, you can also use the new system, which is the Open Office document, at the same time until the specific time mentioned by the management. So as you can see, the old system, which is Microsoft Word, the Microsoft Word is used alongside with the new system, which is Open Office document. So the transition is better without no assistance from the user. Phase conversion. In this strategy, each site converts at a separate time. The larger systems that have multiple sites often use a phase conversion. In this strategy, the old system will be introduced to the user part by part to make sure that the user are ready to use the whole new system. For example, if you want to convert from the Microsoft Word to Open Office application, we have to make sure that the user convert part by part or phase by phase secara berperingkat maksudnya. For example, in Microsoft Office, we have 4 applications involved: Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, and Microsoft PowerPoint. So the management can use every part to be converted in separate time, phase by phase. For example, from January to February, the staff must not use Microsoft Word. They must use Open Office document. After February, when all the staff are getting used to the Open Office document, then we remove Microsoft Excel from their system and ask them to use Open Office spreadsheets. Now we introduce them with the second part of the system of the Open Office. After 2 months of using Open Office spreadsheets, then we introduce them with the second application, the second part of the Open Office, which is Open Office Base. So this is the 6th month, month 6. So you have introduced them with the third software of Open Office. Once they are suitable with the third application, then we complete all the system at from week in the 2 months after that. So it will take time for the staff to complete using the new system. Sebab tu kita panggil dia secara berperingkat. So we want the staff to get used part by part of the system, so they can use it properly and get used to the new system without having too much difficulties. Pilot conversion. Pilot conversion is the strategy with only one location in the organization uses the new system so that it can be tested. After the pilot site approves the new system, the other site convert using one of other conversion strategies. Now, what is pilot conversion again? In the pilot conversion, you have created a group of users to use the new system and test it. So once the pilot group tests the new system and approve the new system, then the rest of the staff in the department or in the organization can start converting to the new system. Phase 5, maintenance. This is the last phase of the SDLC, maintenance phase. The purpose of maintenance phase is to the purpose of the maintenance on the operation, support and security phase is to provide ongoing assistance for an information system and its users after the system is implemented. So after the system has been implemented to the user, it's time for the maintenance phase. So there are 3 activities involved. The first one is perform maintenance activities, then monitor system performance, and lastly is to assess system security. Perform maintenance activities involve fixing errors as well as improving a system operations. System analysts meet with user for the post-implementation review. This is the step to discover whether the IS or this is information system or the new system perform according to the user expectation. There are 2 types of corrective maintenance. First is corrective maintenance. And then we have adaptive maintenance. Corrective maintenance is a process of diagnosing and correcting errors, if any. Adaptive maintenance is a process of including new features in the new system, if needed. Monitor system performance. Monitor system performance is to determine whether the system is inefficient or unstable at any point. There are 2 types of maintenance in these activities. The first one is perfective maintenance, which is to investigate solution to make sure that the new system efficient and reliable. Then we have preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance involves performing activities to prevent the occurrence of errors. To prevent the occurrence of any errors. Perfective maintenance tends to reduce the software complexity, thereby improving program understandability and increasing software maintainability. It comprises documentation updating, code optimization, and code restructuring. Lastly, assess system security. In assess system security, you must come with a computer security plan to do the to detect, prevent, and recover from loss, including identify all the information assets of an organization. Identify all security risks that may cause an information asset loss. And for each risk, identify the safeguards that exist to detect, prevent, and recover from loss. So, who in charge or who responsible in assessing system security? The person responsible for these activities is the Chief Security Officer, or also known as CSO. CSO also help to develop computer security plan, which summarize in writing all the safeguards that protect the organization's information assets. So now that's all for the topic of steps in SDLC. What is the importance of SDLC and why we have to learn about this? So SDLC related to make sure that more effective and efficient system to be developed. It helps also to strong management control in development, maximize the productivity, and ensure high quality of the new system. That's all for today. Thank you, class.